You are being priced out on purpose, and they're getting rich off the squeeze. Right now, the top 10% own about 2/3 of U.S. wealth, while the bottom half is stuck with only a tiny slice. At the same time, a huge share of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and a shocking number can't cover even a small emergency without debt. That's not bad budgeting, that's a rigged pressure system. Here's the part most people miss. While you're told inflation is easing, the things you actually live on, housing, insurance, healthcare, utilities, food, stay elevated, and corporations keep padding margins. Since 2020, grocery prices have jumped roughly 25% plus overall. Housing costs surged, and borrowing got more expensive. So even when headline inflation cools, your life doesn't get cheaper. Meanwhile, CEO pay has exploded over the decades while typical wages didn't remotely keep pace, and corporate profits have remained historically strong compared to labor's share. So if you felt like you're being bullied into poverty while they keep leveling up, yeah, you're not imagining it. You're living inside a business model. And the model works best when you're stressed, divided, and paying fees on everything. You're not broke because you're bad with money. You're broke because the system was built to break you. If you're struggling financially right now, it's not because you bought too many lattes. It's not because you didn't budget properly. It's not because you skipped one too many Dave Ramsey podcasts. You're struggling because the entire American economic structure is held together with duct tape, and the system itself is designed to extract from you, not support you. You are being nickel and dimed in every direction while billionaires float above the clouds in tax-exempt jets. And here's the real kicker. While you're told to live within your means, billion-dollar corporations aren't even expected to turn a profit. Amazon didn't pay a single dollar in federal taxes in 2018 on $11.2 billion in profits. Let that sink in. Meanwhile, if you miss one rent payment, your life spirals into eviction court. You want to save for a house? Good luck. The median home price is now $431,000, and wages haven't even touched pre-2008 buying power. You want to invest? Inflation just chewed up the last raise you got, assuming you even got one. And yet financial gurus still dare to tell you that you just need to work harder or save more, as if your electric bill didn't just go up 20% and your health insurance premium didn't silently jump another $100. The psychological weight of always being one flat tire away from total crisis is by design. This isn't dysfunction, it's a feature. Your boss doesn't want you thriving, your government doesn't want you independent. Your bank doesn't want you debt-free. If they did, the entire economy would collapse, because guess what? 70% of America's GDP depends on consumer spending. That's you, being milked dry, one overpriced grocery item, and surprise medical bill at a time. You are not broken. The system is. But instead of fixing it, they just tell you to hustle harder. And every time you look up for air, they wave a luxury you can't afford in your face just to remind you how far beneath them you really are. The rich are literally making money off your misery. And they don't even have to hide it anymore. Poverty is profitable. Your stress, your overdraft fees, your late rent notices, all of that is a goldmine for someone. And those someones, they're making billions. The payday loan industry alone is worth $9 billion annually, preying almost exclusively on people who are just trying to keep the lights on. Medical debt? Now that's a real moneymaker. Over 100 million Americans are dealing with healthcare-related debt. And guess what Wall Street did? They bundled those debts and securitized them into investment products, yes, like they did with subprime mortgages in 2008 and sold them to hedge funds. They literally turned your inability to pay your hospital bill into a profit engine. That's not economics, that's vampirism. And it goes further. Blackstone, one of the largest private equity firms on the planet, now owns tens of thousands of single-family homes and is driving up rental prices in entire cities. In 2023, 44% of all homes sold were purchased by investors, not families. That means when you try to buy a home, you're bidding against billion-dollar machines. And when you can't afford it, guess what? You're renting it from them. They win either way. And the laws? Written to protect them. They get tax write-offs for depreciation on property they bought with cash. Meanwhile, You're out here paying $17 for lunch meat and praying your check clears before the gas bill does. This isn't just inequality. This is predation. It's a system that thrives when you suffer and rewards those who keep the suffering going. You are not behind because you made a bad financial choice. You're behind because someone with a financial model made damn sure you couldn't get ahead and called it growth. You're not middle class anymore. You're a walking target with a credit score. Remember when being middle class meant something? 2 kids, a home, a decent car, maybe a vacation once a year? That's dead. Middle class in 2026 means you own a Costco card and know exactly how many miles you can coast on an empty tank. Don't let the labels fool you. They're still calling people middle class who have less than $1,000 in savings. The Federal Reserve reported that 37% of Americans would struggle to come up with $400 for an emergency. That's not a class, that's a crisis. And yet, you're still being hit with every fee imaginable. Banking fees, streaming fees, ATM fees, fees for paying your bill on time. Your landlord charges a $75 convenience fee for online rent payments. Airlines charge extra for legroom that already exists. You're not a customer. You're a mark. You're a set of monthly cash flows to be harvested, optimized, and squeezed. Your data? Sold. Your time? Monetized. Your labor? Underpaid. And even your suffering gets tracked, analyzed, and packaged into algorithms so they can better sell you the illusion of escape. And let's talk about your credit score, that mystical 3-digit number that now determines your entire quality of life. Miss one bill in 2020 because your hours got cut during the pandemic? Still paying for it. Try to rent a place, get a car, or even apply for a better job. That little number follows you everywhere like a scarlet letter. Meanwhile, billionaires can tank entire companies, get bailed out by the Fed, and walk away richer. In this country, your entire financial identity is a subscription service that you pay for with your dignity. You're not middle class. You're middle prey, groomed, cornered, and sold to the highest bidder. The illusion of choice. You're not living free. You're living in a maze with branded walls. Let me put it like this. You think you have options, but all your paths are owned. You think you're choosing what to eat, what to wear, what to watch, where to live. But every one of those decisions was carefully curated, manipulated, and monetized before you even got to the menu. Americans are drowning in what I call fake freedom. You get bombarded with 300 brands of cereal but can't afford eggs. You scroll past 15 different buy now, pay later ads but can't afford a basic dental cleaning. That's not freedom. That's manufactured consent. It's a funnel, and every exit dumps you into a new payment plan. Want to go to college? Here's $80,000 of student debt and no guarantee of a livable job. Want to avoid that? Great. Here's a gig economy opportunity with no benefits, no health insurance, no retirement. Try to stay healthy? Here's a wellness app that charges you $15 a month to remind you to drink water. Even trying to opt out costs money. Try growing your own food. Local zoning laws might fine you. Want to build off-grid? Local ordinances might criminalize it. Want to live without internet? Good luck. Even applying for a job now requires online access. The average American is hit with over 4,000 commercial messages per day. That's not marketing. That's warfare. Psychological pressure to conform, consume, and collapse in silence. They don't need to ban books or burn ideas anymore. They just bury your brain in noise and keep you too tired to resist. And while you're running in place, trying to chase a better future, the rich are quietly buying up the exits. Every system, education, healthcare, housing, food, is now fully corporatized, optimized for shareholder value, and rigged to keep you paying more for less. You're not failing. You're in a game that was never meant for you to win. And the worst part? They've convinced you it's your fault. If you work full-time and still can't afford to live, that's not a you problem. That's a nation in decay. If you're working 40, 50, even 60 hours a week and you still can't afford basic things like rent, groceries, healthcare, or a weekend to breathe, the country is failing you, not the other way around. Somewhere along the line, we accepted the biggest gaslight in economic history, that your poverty is a reflection of your personal discipline, not a reflection of systemic rot. We let them feed us this lie that if we just worked a little harder, got a little luckier, and downloaded the right budgeting app, we'd be okay. But the math doesn't lie. Today, the federal minimum wage is still $7.25 an hour, untouched since 2009. Meanwhile, the average rent in America has crossed $2,000 a month, and the cost of living has surged over 20% since 2021 alone. In fact, in 2023, MIT's living wage calculator estimated that a single adult with no children needs to earn at least $17 an hour just to survive in most U.S. counties, and that's survival, not security. You're told to save 15% of your income for retirement, but when 63% of Americans are already living paycheck to paycheck, tell me, with what money? It's not laziness, it's not irresponsibility. It's theft, a slow, deliberate siphoning of your time, energy, and dignity. The richest people in the country made $1.5 trillion in 2023 alone, while tens of millions of full-time workers couldn't scrape together $500 in an emergency. That is not a coincidence. That is a blueprint. The working class was never meant to prosper under this system, only to function, barely, until burnout. And when you break down, they'll replace you with the next desperate person in line. This isn't capitalism. It's economic cannibalism dressed up in productivity memes. And until we start calling it what it is, exploitation with a PR team, they're going to keep squeezing every last cent from people too exhausted to fight back. Number 5. Your retirement was stolen while you were busy surviving the month. Ask yourself this: what happened to the American retirement dream? The one where you worked hard, paid your dues, and lived out your golden years in peace? It's vanished, vaporized in plain sight, and no one bothered to send out the obituary. Because the truth is, unless you're already wealthy or married into money, the concept of retirement is now a fantasy. It's a cruel joke with a 401k punchline. Right now, 40% of Americans aged 55 and older have no retirement savings at all. Zero. And of those who do have something tucked away, the median is just $134,000, which sounds decent until you realize it won't even cover 5 years of modest living expenses, let alone 2 decades of life post-employment. Pensions? Gone? Social Security? Politicians are literally on record planning to sunset it, calling it an unsustainable entitlement, even though you paid into it every paycheck for your entire working life. And the 401k, don't even get me started. That system was never meant to replace pensions. It was a tax avoidance tool for the rich, handed to regular workers without guardrails. And now that the stock market is the main place for retirement funds, guess who controls that? The same billionaires who dump and pump stocks on whims, wipe out savings with algorithmic trades, and collect government bailouts whenever they screw up. In fact, BlackRock and Vanguard collectively control over $15 trillion in global assets, including the retirement portfolios of millions of Americans. That means your future is literally at the mercy of people who would happily watch the market crash if it made them richer by morning. And while you're out here wondering if you'll be able to afford food and rent in your 70s, they're buying third yachts and building bunkers in New Zealand. This isn't just an economic issue, it's a moral crime. You gave this system your youth, your energy, your loyalty. And when it was supposed to take care of you, it tossed you aside like a burnt-out machine. Retirement didn't fail. They stole it. The education trap. $100,000 for a job that doesn't pay enough to live. Let's talk about one of the most insidious lies ever sold to the American public. Go to college and you'll be set. That line has ruined more lives than it's helped in the last 20 years. And yet, they're still peddling it like gospel. Because here's the reality in 2026. The average cost of a 4-year degree from a public university is now over $104,000, and private colleges are charging up to $70,000 per year. That's mortgage-level debt, and what do you get in return? A flimsy piece of paper that qualifies you to earn just enough to stay buried under your monthly student loan payments for the next 30 years, and that's if you can get a job in your field. The truth? Only 27% of college graduates are working in a job that even requires a degree. The rest are working jobs that barely need a high school diploma because the jobs simply don't exist. Meanwhile, that debt is non-dischargeable. You can declare bankruptcy on credit cards, on medical bills, even on gambling losses, but student loans? Nope. You'll take that debt to your grave unless the Department of Education decides to throw you a bone, which, let's be honest, they won't. The average borrower pays $503 a month in student loans. That's $6,000 a year, money that could be used for housing, savings, or groceries. Instead, it's funneled to banks and loan servicers who make a killing off your hope. And the worst part? It's all by design. The government backs these loans. Colleges inflate tuition knowing they'll get paid regardless. Banks package your debt into securities and sell it to investors. You're not a student. You're a profit center, an annuity with a graduation cap. And don't even get me started on for-profit colleges' literal scams with marketing budgets larger than their libraries. The system wants you credentialed, indebted, and desperate. Because a population shackled by debt is a population too exhausted to fight back. They told you education was the great equalizer. But in this America, it's just another chain. Everything you touch is a subscription. Now even the air feels metered. Once upon a time, you bought a thing and it was yours. Done. You paid once. It worked. It didn't need an account, a password, or a cloud connection. Fast forward to 2026, and now you don't own anything. Not your music, not your car, not even the software in your refrigerator. We've officially crossed the threshold into the subscription era where even the act of existing comes with a monthly fee. And the worst part? You didn't opt in. You were nudged, pushed, and finally shoved into it. Want a car? Great. That'll be $700 a month for the vehicle. And now $25 a month extra to unlock the heated seats you already physically own. That's real. BMW tried it. Want a phone? Sure. But you don't get a charger anymore. And your apps? Most useful ones are paywalled now. Adobe charges $60 per month for software that was once a one-time CD-ROM. Microsoft forces you onto Office 365. Even freaking seat warmers and steering wheel heaters now come with subscriptions baked in. And don't get me started on streaming where you're paying for 6 different services that all now come with ads anyway. You pay for Amazon Prime and still get a sales pitch mid-show. You pay Spotify and still get upsold for premium. It's a corporate bait-and-switch carnival, except you're the prize. Even healthcare is going subscription now, with concierge doctors charging monthly fees just to pick up the phone. And this model isn't spreading because it's better. It's spreading because it guarantees eternal profit. Why sell you a wrench once when they can lease you the right to turn bolts monthly? You think you're budgeting smarter by managing subscriptions, but you're being robbed in plain sight. The average American now juggles 12 paid subscriptions, and over 42% of people admit they're still being charged for subscriptions they forgot they even had. This is how wealth is siphoned. Not with a bang, but with 1,000 slow leaks. Every device, every service, every platform is just a toll booth on the highway of your own life. You didn't agree to live in a rent-based economy, but somehow you're paying rent on everything except your dignity. That they took for free. Your food is poisoned, and they're charging you more for it every year. Let's talk about the one thing you have to buy no matter what: food. And not only are you paying more than ever, grocery prices are up 25% since 2020, but you're also getting sick for the privilege. America has built a food system where the default setting is ultra-processed, chemically treated, and nutritionally bankrupt. Over 60% of the calories in the average American diet come from ultra-processed foods, the kind with more additives than ingredients your grandma would recognize. It's not an accident. These foods are engineered to be addictive, shelf-stable, and cheap to produce. And while they fill you up temporarily, they rob your health long-term. Obesity? Skyrocketing. 42% of American adults are now considered obese. Type 2 diabetes? More than doubled in the last 20 years. Autoimmune issues, digestive disorders, depression, all rising. And what do they tell you when you get sick from this chemical slurry? Make better choices. As if you're the one who put high-fructose corn syrup in everything from bread to salad dressing. As if you asked for hormone-laced meat, pesticide-covered produce, or cheese products that legally can't be called cheese. And while you're trying to figure out how to eat healthy on a budget, spoiler alert, you can't anymore. Corporations like Nestlé and Tyson are raking in billions. They lobby to keep food labeling confusing. They fund junk science to cloud the health debates. And they own the shelf space at your local store. Try going organic? That'll cost you double. Eat fresh? Better hope you don't live in a food desert. Nearly 19 million Americans do. And you know what's down the street instead? A Dollar General and a fast food joint. Your body has become a profit center, just like your bank account. And when the processed food destroys your gut, your insulin, your heart, guess who steps in? Big Pharma, to sell you a prescription for the symptoms while never addressing the cause. It's a closed loop. Poison, profit, pill, repeat. You're not just being starved financially, you're being starved nutritionally too. Because if you're too tired, too inflamed, too foggy to fight back, that's not a side effect. That's the point. They want you desperate, divided, and too tired to rebel, because that's how you're controlled. Here's the final truth, the one that ties it all together. The reason everything feels like it's closing in. The insane prices, the unaffordable housing, the endless debt, the poisoned food, the medical bankruptcies, the algorithmic manipulation. It's not random. It's deliberate. Because if you're too exhausted to think, too scared to rest, too broke to plan ahead, and too divided to unite with your neighbor, you're controllable. That's the whole game. They want you isolated, stuck in your screen, scared of the other side, arguing over scraps while the ultra-rich laugh at us from private islands. While we fight about race, gender, and politics, the billionaires rob the entire treasury. They print money out of thin air, then raise interest rates to make you bleed for it. They crash the economy, then buy your house in foreclosure. They fire thousands, then collect bonuses for cutting costs. They poison your community, then invest in your funeral homes. This isn't hyperbole. This is policy. And when you start waking up to it, they silence you with terms like conspiracy theorist, or worse, distract you with viral drama so you never look up. Your exhaustion is not an accident. It is the product of a system intentionally designed to overwhelm you. You're kept in a permanent state of panic, stuck in survival mode, because people in survival mode don't organize. They don't rise up. They just cling to the next paycheck, the next distraction, the next dollar menu meal, and pray it's enough to hold off collapse for one more day. And the people doing this, they know exactly what they're doing. They've read the history books. They understand that revolutions start when people realize they have nothing left to lose. So their goal is to keep you just comfortable enough to stay obedient and just miserable enough to keep you grinding. That's not freedom. That's managed decline. You are not free. You are leased, rented, tolerated. Until the moment you stop paying, then you are discarded. And that's why it feels like you're being bullied into poverty while they get richer. Because you are. And the only way out is to realize the bully doesn't win when the whole class finally stands up. They told you the system was fair. They told you to work hard, stay quiet, follow the rules, and everything would be okay. But look around. Does any of this look okay to you? You're not crazy. You're not lazy. You're not failing. You are being drained. Intentionally, systematically, relentlessly. And while you're out here calculating how many hours of your life you'll trade for gas, rent, and basic survival, they're stacking billions, buying up your neighborhoods, and rewriting the rules to make sure you never catch up. But here's the truth they don't want you to realize. Once you see the trap, you can stop blaming yourself for being stuck in it. So if you're tired of being played, if you're done swallowing their lies, if you're ready to stop feeling ashamed for struggling in a system built to keep you struggling, then speak up. Share this. Talk about it. Because silence is how they win. They want you isolated. They want you exhausted. They want you broke and obedient. But the moment you stop blaming yourself and start turning your anger toward the real enemy, that's when everything starts to shift. They built this system, but we're the ones who keep it running. And if enough of us stop playing their game, the whole damn thing collapses.